Okay, we have started recording. So, welcome everyone, and thanks for taking time from your busy schedule for joining us on this Builder Series call. It's going to be an action-packed session today. So we are going to be having a good series today on the Snaps APIs that we're going to be presenting. For today's session, we have an action-packed agenda. We'll start off with a little bit of introduction, and then we'll look into what today's session is all about. We'll see what APIs we are going to be covering today, and we'll use a fictional snap as an example to walk through these APIs, and we'll be doing that using demo and code. And finally, we'll have a question and answer session where you can ask questions on the APIs that you looked at today, or you could ask any other question related to snaps. If we do end up not having time, you can always reach back to us async on Slack or on Telegram, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So with that said, let's get into some introductions. So my name is Mario Christopher, and I'm a solutions architect with the Builders Engagement team. The Builders Engagement team works very closely with the Snap product, and we are usually the first line of interface between builders and the Snap products. As a team, we conduct onboarding calls where we introduce new builders to the whole process of Snap building, how we get from an idea all the way to allow listing and beyond. We also conduct builder series calls like this one on timely basis where we focus on certain aspects of a Snap building process. So talking about builder education series, rather than having a call where we talk all about snaps, which is what we do in an onboarding call, we take a particular aspect of the snap building process. It could be as mundane as best practices or design principles or security best practices or how you go to market with your product. We could also be looking at the technical side of it, where we take a few APIs and then we focus or do a deep dive on these APIs and explain how they can be used to fully experience the potential and exploit the potential of these APIs. So today's call is one such as that, where we look at a few APIs and we walk through a use case to see how these APIs can be used to exploit the full potential and thus bring more users towards your stack. It's basically an increasing the adoption of APIs by both the builders as well as end users who get to then experience the wonderful Snap that you're building. So we have shared a list of these calls to other builders during the onboarding process, but we'll be sharing this list also with you all after this call. These are a set of calls that we've already had on Builder Education Series, and today's call will be added to the list and available for anyone to see later on. So today's session, like I said, we'll be looking at more on the technical aspect of a Snap building process. We are going to be looking at APIs. So I personally, when I look at all the APIs that are available in a Snap, I kind of put them into two separate buckets, one based on a persona. One is a developer-based API. So what a developer does, the tools they use, the APIs they use in a Snap in order to provide functionality of that Snap. It could be things like entropy functions. It could be things like account snaps, managing the state, running cron jobs, etc. So all these APIs kind of run in the background and provide the core functionality of the Snap. But on the flip side of it, you also have APIs where the user of the Snap is drawn into the picture. So the user now gets engaged with your Snap. And that is the aspect where we want to capitalize on in today's session, because user experience is a key factor which allows a user to use your Snap versus someone else's Snap, which is kind of providing the same functionality. So today's call is going to be focusing on these UIs, especially, on these APIs, especially the ones which are focusing on user interface and user experience. Before we get deeper in this, I just want to point out one fact. All the people on today's call could be in different levels of your Snap development process. Some of you may be new Snap builders who are just looking into what snaps are or how do we go about building it, whereas others might be ones who have already allow listed their Snap or even gone through a couple of rounds of updates on their Snap. So they are at a different level in their Snap development process. So with people all around the spectrum, I just want to say that today's session is just going to be focusing on a few APIs. We will not be looking into the basics of snaps. We will not be looking into how you go from idea to allow listing. We have the onboarding call for that, and the recording is available. You can check it out. Today's call will be focusing on just these APIs and maybe touch upon some aspects of how you start your Snap development. So if at any point in time through the walkthrough you get stuck on some aspect, please remember to ask me at the end in the Q&A session. I'll be happy to answer those questions. And if we do end up not having time, like I said, you can always get back to us async and I'll be able to answer these questions. So coming back to today's focus, UI UX APIs. We're happy to introduce these new sets of APIs that we have added to our Snap arsenal. They are classified as lifecycle hook APIs and homepage APIs. Now, for any builder, you show them a bit of code and they understand everything. So that's the reason I added some code snippets on the screen. But I'll just walk through them. So the first set of APIs I want to talk about are the lifecycle hook APIs. To make use of these APIs, you would have to update your manifest file and add an entry into your initial permission, which says, I want this endowment, lifecycle hooks. And the moment you do that, your Snap is now able to work with lifecycle hooks. There are two lifecycle hooks we have introduced today. More might come later on. The first one is an on install. So as the name suggests, this hook is used during the process of installation. So a lifecycle of the Snap can go through starting from downloading from NPM, installation, successful installation, and living within MetaMask. So lifecycle hook kind of looks at these different stages and tries to do some action when one of that stage has been successfully completed. So in the case of on install, once the end user installs your Snap, the Snap installation is successful, then it calls this hook wherein you as a builder can now put in some additional functionality to do things for your Snap. Let's say, for example, you want to make an API call to your backend and get config information, or you want to initialize the state, or you want to set up some models, or anything of that sort, you can put in this on install hook. So once the installation completes, the platform is going to call this hook and that code is going to get executed. Here is also an opportunity for you to engage the user on successful installation. How you could do that is by throwing out an UI in the Snap and then letting the user's focus go to that. And this is a chance for you to show what your Snap can do, to show your brand, to show various other things, thus making the user's experience a lot more better. The second hook is an on update hook. And again, as the name suggests, this gets called once a Snap is updated successfully. So let's say the end user has a Snap installed, and then you as a builder are pushing out new features, new functionality. If the user goes back to the Snap at some point in time, they would see a prompt asking them to update to the next version. So they click on that, and the platform downloads a new version of the Snap and updates it. At the end of that update process is when this hook is called. Here again, as a builder, you could put in code to, let's say, for example, modify your state model based on your new features that you've added, or get some more information from the configuration. Or again, throw a UI to the user saying, hi, thanks for updating, and these are the new changes that are coming up in the Snap for you to use. So these two lifecycle hook kind of pulls the user into this whole process, into this workflow, and thus it gets them more engaged with your Snap. On to the next one, the Snap homepage. Here, to use this lifecycle, to use this API, you would have to have the endowment page home in your initial permissions in the Snap manifest file. As you can see from the code here, the on home page, it returns some kind of a content, which is going to be a panel with some UI pieces in it. So this gives you an idea of what this API does. Most of the UI that a user experiences is through a workflow, like they are submitting some transaction, or you need their confirmation, or you need to show that information during a workflow. So most of this UI interaction happens during a workflow. But there may be situations where you want to show something about your Snap's functionality to the user where they can just go and look at it. They don't have to go through a workflow. So that's where a home page comes into play. The home page is a UI on the Snap which lives there forever, and the user can just go and see things on that home page. This is a great opportunity for us to show stuff on the Snap which is not tied to a workflow as such. An interesting point about this API is it's the first stage in our long-term goal of making Snap wholly providing screens for the user. This homepage today is static, but we are having in our backlog tickets which are going to make these homepages more dynamic. So as an end user, you would be able to perform workflows right in the Snap instead of having a companion dApp. You could draw up forms with text boxes, collect user information, buttons, move forward in a workflow, etc., all within the Snap without having to depend on a companion dApp. But today is just the first step in it, where we are having a UI and it is static. We'll be looking at these three APIs and seeing how best to improve a user experience during a Snap when the user starts working on a Snap. Now I could close the call today by saying, okay, guys, these are the APIs, go forth and implement. But then it doesn't give you a feeling it doesn't make you as excited as we are about these APIs, because we know that there's a lot more potential in these APIs. And we want to share that excitement with you so that you can build on that and then garner more end users on your Snap. So we are going to be looking at a fictional Snap example and seeing how we can use these new APIs in this Snap. So American Airlines, many of you are familiar with, is a prominent airline company in the US and across the world, and they have developed a Snap. Now, again, this is a fictional Snap. American Airlines hasn't reached out to us in any way or form that they are building a Snap, and we don't know if that's in the pipeline, but I'm just using their name here as a Snap example. It just allows us to, bring everybody in the same room on the same table and follow the same process rather than each of you going away in a tangent on how these APIs are used. So yes, American Airlines is building a Snap. Their homepage or their companion dApp allows an end user to log in. And once a user's log in, they are into their account, they would then be able to connect their wallet to their account. So why does this happen? Because the Snap now is able to do some interesting things because of this connection between your American Airlines account and your wallet. The Snap is now able to display things such as frequent flyer number, past flight information, your upcoming flight and the status, and so on. The end goal of American Airlines is to make you use your wallet assets to buy tickets, basically buy a flight ticket with the crypto. Now, all of these scenarios are not possible right now today because, like I said, our UI is not dynamic, but it can easily be achieved in a couple of months down the line when we have all the dynamic UI in place. But with the limited APIs that we have, let us see how we can make an efficient use case for improving user experience using this Snap as an example. We won't be developing the dApp, we won't be developing the whole Snap, but we'll just use our APIs in the Snap. So how are we going to do it? We'll build a Snap from the template. This is the best way for any Snap developer to get started. We have a create script, which is going to create a whole repository for you. It is a monorepo, which contains a site, or the companion dApp and the snap code. So using this as a starting block, you can build up and have a great looking snap. So we'll build a snap from template, we'll publish it to NPM, we'll install it, and we'll analyze the user experience. This is going to be the vanilla experience and the base mark against which we are going to improve upon. We then introduce the install hooks and see how we can greatly increase user engagement. We'll then introduce the home page and allow the user to install an update and thus also pull in the update lifecycle hook. In using this process, we'll see how from a vanilla experience, we can move to a much more flavorful experience using all these APIs. So with that said, I'm going to get into my code. The best place to get started, like I said, is to use your to build it from the template. So if you go to the Snaps documentation and a quick start link here, you have the yarn command here to start and install your Snap. When you execute this, it's going to download the monorepo and it's going to install the dependencies. I did not want to waste time on the call doing that, so I've just done that before the call and we can get into it right away. So once you execute that command, this is the repository that is going to be created for you. A quick overview here, you have, it's a monorepo, so you have a packages and you have the site, which is your companion dApp, and the Snap, which is the Snap American Airlines is going to be building. As this is just freshly downloaded and created, I'd like to make a few changes just to make it American Airlines specific, so we know that it's an American Airlines Snap. So the first thing I would do is I'll just rename the folder. It's now going to be Snap-American Airlines. Within it, I'll open up my Snap manifest file, and I'll also open up my package.json, have these two side by side. Keep in mind that this snap-AA is the final package which you'll be building and publishing to NPM. Okay, so inside here, I'll just call this as American Airlines Snap. And I'll just copy paste this here because we don't want to get too fancy in our demo here. And the same thing, I would do it in my package.json. I'll go ahead and put that there. Good. The next thing I want to do is make sure that my version information is correct here. My version information is correct here. That's good. The next thing I want to do is make sure that my snap stands out from all the other snaps in NPM. So I'll name my snap accordingly and scope it. So I'll be using my NPM account. So I'll just scope it as Mario AC/snap-AA. This is going to be my snap package name. So I'll update my manifest also with the same thing and put that there. Good. My repository is going to be in GitHub, and I'll just put this as snap-AA. So this is my Git repository. It's not existing today, but I'm just putting that there. What else would I need here? So looks like all this information is good. I'm good to go. Yeah, one more small thing. So I go to my README document, and here again, I'll just say American Airlines Snap. American Airlines Snap. With all this done, it kind of gives the Snap a good flavor of American Airlines. So when we see it in NPM or see it in my MetaMask wallet, I would see that it is my Snap. So let me get started in publishing this. Since I changed the folder name here, Yarn would complain if I just proceed with it. So what I'm going to do is packages/snap-AA. I get into my snap folder and I just do a yarn install once again. This will make yarn lock fine and it won't complain and stuff. So give that a couple of seconds to go through. Good. So that is done. We did make changes in our snap, which means the most important field in our Snap, which is the SHA-SUM, would be changing. So I want to update that. I would run yarn build. Now, what yarn build does is, if you look into the package.json, yarn build is going to be calling snap. This is our snap CLI running in the background to do all the heavy lifting for you. So this is going to be rebuilding the snap and recalculating the SHA-SUM, and we are going to see the SHA-SUM is going to change on this. An important point here, we've had update requests coming from various builders when they are making changes to the snap, and they somehow forget to run this step and update the SHA-SUM. This is very important because when a snap is downloaded and used by the MetaMask platform also generates a SHA-SUM and tries to compare it with this. And if they don't match, that's a big problem. So make sure that you go through the step before you publish your snap. So my snap is built, my SHA-SUM has been updated, and the last step in this process is to push it to NPM. So let me go ahead and push NPM publish. This is going to publish this particular snap and at version 0.10. And again, I said this is going to be the vanilla experience. So NPM publish, this is going to take a couple of seconds where it just packages the whole thing and then pushes it to NPM. Great, so far the demo gods have been good to me. So if I pull up my NPM, fresh, there, and I now see my snap in here, snap AA, and it was just published by me, 0.10 version. Now, when the snap is published, the first step you as a snap builder should be doing is looking at the snap simulator. We've spoken about the snap simulator in previous calls and the onboarding calls. It's basically a tool which will allow you to check the correctness of your snap, do things like building UI, which we'll be doing today. So let me go back here and get my snap name. I get my package and go to connect to that package, npm, and I put that there. You see that it automatically brings the correct version, apply config, and now I'm in my snap. I've connected to my snap, and make sure all of this is green. This is the one which makes sure that the SHA-SUM is correct and everything is good. Good. So we have published our snap. Now the next step is to make the end user install it. So for that, let me start up my companion companion website or companion companion DApp. Sorry about that. I needed to type and I couldn't type and talk at the same time. So what this is going to be doing is it's going to launch the American Airlines DApp. You might see a couple of deprecation warnings here because I'm using not an LTS version of Node. So don't worry about that. Just ignore it. It's going to complete successfully. Yeah, so this is going to be launching the American Airlines website, the so-called American Airlines website, and it will allow the end user to connect their wallet, install the snap, and so on. Give it a couple of seconds more. It should be good. Yes, so we're good to go. And now here is my American Airlines companion DApp. If as an end user, I go to my MetaMask and I check at snaps, there are no snaps. I would also like to draw your attention that I'm using MetaMask Flask because this snap is a demo purpose. It's not allowed listed, and therefore the only way to install and show it is through Flask, MetaMask Flask. So let me install it. And this is where I want us all to look at the user experience during a vanilla installation and see how it works out. So connect. So a connection request comes. This is standard. Oh, yeah. So I need to make some more changes in my code. So right now, the code is going to be looking at my local snap if I'm running it locally, but I want to make some changes so that it pulls it directly from NPM. So these are things which you would have done in your site. So the first thing you do is go into your site, go into config, go to snap, and here it says pull the snap from local, but I want it from npm. So make this npm, and this is going to be your snap name. That's cool. Second change I want to make is when you're running it locally, you are able to install it once. But when you're installing an allow listed snap, you can reconnect. If since it's your front end, you can have the connect button always there, so you can always connect and install more the updates coming in. So I want to make sure that my connect button is always available. So what I do for that is I go to pages, index, I just scroll down to through my code. Right. So here's a condition in React where I say if my snap is installed, if it's not installed, show the connect. I'll just put this as true. So my connect button is always there. And I'm doing small things here because I'm in a development environment. The next thing I want to make as a change is I go into utils and I go into snap here. This is the code which gets executed when I'm installing the snap and I'm asking the user to install. By default, you can pass in an empty object to this snap method, but there is an optional parameter called version, where if you want a particular version to be installed. I'll skip this for now, but I'll come back here when I'm doing an update. So going back to my snap page, refreshing. So now I'm doing my connect again. Connection request is a standard. Good, now it's working. So now it's pulling the American Airlines Snap, which we just created, and it says these are the two permissions that is by default there. I go ahead and install it. Installation is complete. This is also the standard dialog. And once you click on OK here, you're done. There is no user engagement at all. And if the user is wondering, hey, what just happened? Let me go back and check. They go back to the snaps. They go to snaps. They see something here. They click on it. And again, what they see here is a little bit too technical for an average user. They might see, oh, okay, I don't even know what happened. I installed American Airlines Snap and I don't know what to do now. So this is a vanilla experience of user experiencing the user experience while installing the Snap. Let's see how we can improve on this using the new APIs that we have created. So what I'm going to do is first give the Snap proper permissions. So the Snap now needs to know that it is allowed to use lifecycle hooks. So for that, I'm going to be updating my Snap manifest, and I provided this endowment. This now tells the platform that this Snap is allowed to use lifecycle hooks. The second thing I want to do is start implementing the code to do that lifecycle hook. So I go into my source index. This is a place where you would write your code for all the exports that your Snap is going to have. And here is where you would also have the code for the lifecycle hook that you're going to be having. So we're talking about the on install lifecycle hook, and I'll go ahead and put that here. I've got some code already created, so we don't have to walk through this process. So as an builder, I'm going to be doing something here to do something on installation. I want to bring the information of the user, like I might have the American Airlines account information and so on. So first I'm going to have an API method, which is going to pull information from my backend server. So here's my API call. API get frequent flyer information, and I'm just mimicking an API call which returns this information, the frequent flyer number, first name, and last name. And I want to use this to initialize things in my Snap. So on install, I make a call. So I get my flight information. Now here's, like I said, here's the point. I want to engage the user and pull the user into this whole experience. So I want to show a UI. The best way to show a UI or to build a UI is using the Snap Simulator, which I demoed earlier. So going back to Snap Simulator, I go to the UI builder, and now I want to create a UI. Since this stimulator is already connected to my Snap from NPM, it's showing American Airlines and so on and so forth. So let me start creating an engaging UI. The first thing I do is pull in an image, and American Airlines has great images with respect to their logos. So I put in an image, and here is American Airlines. So if the user sees this, they have a feeling of comfort saying, okay, yes, this is a snap related to American Airlines. Good. I then start filling in some text. What can I put in here? Let's put a divider, and then I say, okay, pull a text here, and I want to personally engage the user, personally engage the end user. So I come in and I say, hi, and I want a name. So I want some name here, the person's name. Thanks for installing our Snap. And further, if I want to tell them anything else, I just pull in another text here and say, by the way, here's your frequent flyer number, and I put a copyable text, and this is my frequent flyer number. And if I want to say, by the way, you can check out if you're wondering what this whole Snap thing is about, I put in another text box and I say, you can check out more information at American Airlines. So with a few clicks and drags, you now have created a decent looking UI, which is showing your brand, which is showing some information that the user is familiar with. And how do we get this information? It's just because the user has connected their wallet on the American Airlines website. So now it is connected and we're able to get their frequent flyer number. Um, Transferring this to your Snap is a Snap. Click on the code, and now you have all the code required. So I copy and paste this in our code. So going back to my code window, I come in here and I go to my index file. Oh, where is that index file? Here. I come to my index file. Here is my component, which I just created from the divider and copyable, all of this stuff. Okay, so I have this, and then finally, I am going to show a message to the user using one of these Snaps API, which is to show a dialogue. So for that, I pull in this one. Great. And I have replaced the text with the info that I have collected during the installation, frequent flyer number, and looks good. So my on install looks good. I have to do some housekeeping stuff. Namely, I come in here and I update my version. It is now 0.11. I make sure my package is also 0.11. And I think all is done with that. So I go ahead and do the important steps, which is yarn build. It updates my SHA-SUM, and then I do a npm publish, and it has been published. If I go back to my npm, I now see a new version, 0.11. Wonderful. So let's again assume the user is coming the first time to your website. To simulate a new one, I'll just remove the snap. Okay, so now the user is coming fresh. So we'll now compare the user experience to the vanilla one. I connect, standard dialog. I go to the next point, and now you see that it is showing the lifecycle hooks. So this is good. Install. Installation complete. In the vanilla experience, it ends at this point. But now you have something more. Now the user looks at this and says, oh, okay, I have installed an American Airlines, and look at this, my frequent flyer number is here, and see, it's calling me by name. And I can check out more information about their Snap from American Airlines. So here the user at the end of this process is now engaged and they know that the Snap is related to American Airlines. They know that the Snap can do some things like show your frequent flyer number, and they can experience more about American Airlines from this link. So we've seen that the user experience has jumped up to several notches here because we have used an API in a very demonstrative way. Now, the user can't get back to that information again because if they go to Snaps, they see all this technical stuff. Where is my frequent flyer number? They don't have it. So this is where we introduce the second API, which is the homepage API. So for the homepage, I would do the same thing, but for best saving us on time, I'll just be copying some code, but it's exact same process where I'm going to be creating a homepage. So do that and put the homepage here. So this is the next API that we are talking about, homepage handler. I get the frequent flyer information and I display something here on the homepage. And I created this again using the simulator Snap simulator tool. Don't forget to do the housekeeping stuff. The first item that we have to do is include the other endowment. So we are having the homepage endowment that comes in there. The second step is increase your Snap version 012, increase your package.json version 012. Now we are good to go. But one thing stops me here. If the user updates the Snap, good, they get to see the homepage, but they get to see the homepage as a process that comes later. How would they be made aware that a new homepage is now available? So that's where the update lifecycle hook comes into play. So to supplement my homepage or this feature that I'm adding, I think I want to also include an on update cycle. So if I go back to my code here, again, I have some code which I've pre-created. So let me copy and paste it here. So now I have an update handler, and this update handler is going to tell the user what are the new changes coming in here. So I've created this component again using the Snap simulator, and we'll see how this component looks when we come up here. Now, the final step, I have to make this change because I'm on development. I'm not an allowed listed Snap. And this change is to ask for a particular version of the Snap to be installed. Otherwise, I would never see an update. This step is not required when you're using stable MetaMask and an allow listed Snap, because the platform is going to detect that a new version is there and automatically prompt the user to update. But I'm not using an allow listed Snap for this demo, and therefore I need to make a small change. And that change is what we spoke about earlier. So I go into util Snap, yeah, here. So here I come and I just say, by the way, I want you to install version 0.1.2. So when I say this, then the platform looks at this request and says, okay, your intent is to update. So all that said, let me do my other housekeeping task, which is very important. I build my Snap. This process recalculates my SHASM. I publish my Snap. This pushes the next latest version to NPM, and I'm good to go as an end user. So I come in here, and keep in mind, I already have my Snap installed here. Just for kicks, I'll go there and I'll check my Snap is 0.1.1. Good. So we are installed. Now I'm going to do a connect. Since I'm requesting a particular explicit version, we are going to go through an update cycle. This is slightly different from the install cycle in that it shows what are the new items you're adding. And here is a new endowment that I'm requesting. It display a custom screen, which is the home page. I agree to that and I update it. Update is complete. And this is where now the on update hook kicks in. Good. So here it's now showing the familiar logo and it says, hi, John, thanks for updating the Snap. And it tells me you can now purchase your flight tickets using assets in your wallet. So that's a new update, good. And you can also check the status of your upcoming flights in the Snaps homepage. So this tells the user that there is another feature called the Snaps homepage, and now they are excited to see what the homepage is, how they can check the status of their flights, and so on. So they click OK, and they're done. So we have successfully engaged the user in the update process too. And now let's look at the homepage. So now the homepage allows the user to see information in the Snap, which is not related to a workflow, which means they can go directly and just see what's on the Snap. Now, if you remember, when you clicked on Snaps, it showed the Snap. And in the previous versions, when you clicked on this, it showed all the technical gobbledygook about Snap. But now I'm going to be showing more meaningful information about the functionality my Snap provides. I click on that and look at that. A new homepage is now displayed. So John can come in here and he can see his frequent flyer number. He can use this to copy and paste it when he's booking a new flight. And I've got a couple of links here. Your last flight was on 16th to Cancun. Great. And my upcoming flight to Denver, because I'm going for East Denver, is going to be on 2/22. So now the Snap is able to show a lot more information on the home page, and the user can come in here and get to it without being part of a workflow. If I'm a technical user, I can still see the technical information by clicking on the settings icon here, and then it shows me the regular boring stuff about the Snap, but the more interesting stuff is now displayed on the home page. So with these steps and these APIs, we have seen how we can take the user experience from a very vanilla workflow to a highly flavorful workflow with the on-install, on-update, and homepage APIs. The user is more engaged. The user sees the logo, the branding of the company behind the Snap, and they are comfortable with it. They see more information on the Snap. And imagine in a few months when this becomes a dynamic UI, you should be able to have text boxes and buttons where the user can put in their information to actually book a ticket, and then it uses the assets in your wallet to buy the tickets. So the user experience is only going to go and increase in leaps and bounds from here on, but it's a good place for us to get started in this curve where we engage the user, not only just in the installation process, but also in the user interacting with the Snap and seeing information like their frequent flyer number or any other thing based on the functionality your Snap provides. So with that, I come to an end to the demo and code walkthrough, and I'm going to say a silent prayer to the demo gods because everything went great. There wasn't any hiccup at all. So that was wonderful. Thank you, demo gods. Now getting back to my presentation, we now take a pause for any Q&A. Like I said, you can ask questions regarding today's session or anything about Snaps, and we'll definitely try to answer your questions.
I have a question. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
My question is kind of regarding availability of that functionality you just demoed in the actual production Orange MetaMask, not Flask. Is that out there now, or is this something that's coming in the near future? And then really more generic question, is there a roadmap that kind of shows when some of the new features are coming out? I know you guys are busy building all sorts of things. I've seen it in GitHub. Is there a roadmap that kind of says, hey, this is coming, in June of 2024 or something into the general availability MetaMask?
Thanks for your questions. Yes. So the first one, this is available in stable. So you can go right now and start building your APIs for lifecycle hooks and homepage. So that is a definite yes. Regarding roadmap, Christian Montaya, who is the product owner, he has regular calls on roadmap, and we distribute information of this on all our Telegram channels and Slack channels, saying that a call is coming up with Christian. He's going to be talking about the roadmap. We had one just just before the holidays in December, and another one would be coming up. But yes, we do have calls which talks about all the features, and from those features is usually where we pick and choose a particular topic for a builder series calls. So keep an eye out on your Telegram or Slack channel, and you will see an invite coming in for roadmap calls from Christian.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other calls? I might have missed any chat messages. So if there was questions on chat, let me see that now. Okay, does utilizing new feature require a Snap re-review? I'm assuming yes, in wondering what sort of turnaround time is expected for these type of changes. So let me answer that question. During an update process, we usually do not require another audit unless the code does things around security or the code is changing the functionality, the core functionality of a Snap. We've received a lot of updates requests where the only update was, can you change this description for me, please? Or I've changed my URL for my FAQ and knowledge base. Can you please update this? So things like that just go quickly through us. We just look at the code, we check the repository, make sure everything looks fine, and we go ahead and allow list it. But like I said, if the functionality is changing the core logic of the app, there's a lot more things which are touching the security aspect of the app, then we might request a re-audit. But this is purely a case-by-case basis. The majority of them just go through without a re-audit. Are there any plans for WebSocket connection in Snaps? Yeah, there are discussions happening, but we still haven't put it in a roadmap as to an exact time of release. But yes, we are already talking about WebSockets within the Snap. So those two questions were on the chat. Just checking any other questions. No more questions on the chat. Any other questions from the audience? Cool. I'll assume that I did a great job in my presentation and there is no need for follow-up questions. So that's wonderful. So as I was saying, Shaima has been recording this call and we'll be sharing this to all of you. We'll also be adding it to our list of Builder Series calls so that you can come back to it later or you can share it with your colleagues and friends and help them understand how the UI UX APIs within Snaps can help improve end user experience. So with that said, a big thank you to all of you for joining us on this call. And if we have nothing else, we can now close the call. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mario.